This evening, he'll be talking to us about the role of pilgrimage in our faith. So over to you, Nigel.
Thank you very much, Sharon, and thank you for inviting me to talk to you this evening. And some people here that I saw on the screen just before know a lot about pilgrimage because I know that they've walked with me or helped me with pilgrimage. So I'm sure they'll have things to say at the end. So what I thought to do is to just give a kind of spirituality of pilgrimage because I know you're going to be going on a pilgrimage together very shortly in July. And so, what does it mean to go on pilgrimage? And to say to give some of the background behind pilgrimage. So hopefully, you'll find it interesting. And at the end, we'll be able to ask some questions, and hopefully, it will set you up on the pilgrimage you're going to do in July. So I'm just going to move on. Um, so the first slide that I've got for you is about what is pilgrimage. So it comes from a Latin term meaning wandering, peregrinatio, or pilgrimage or wandering. And Bevans and Slaughter, in relation to monastic pilgrimage, speak of peregrinatio pro Christo, wandering for the sake of Christ. So it's all about wandering around, really. Uh, and so I think that we are living in what I call the third wave of pilgrimage. So, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. So, the first wave is what I call the Celtic wave of pilgrimage. So, we're talking about the 5th century to 6th century. Um, Here in Cornwall was very much a place where Celtic Christian saints came to Cornwall to bring the gospel here. They travelled for love of God, and sometimes they didn't know where they were going. Sometimes they were moving on through Cornwall to onto Brittany, um, but mostly they were going back and forth from Ireland to Wales, and they were travelling for. Sometimes they made Cornwall their home. Sometimes it was their contemporaries or people who knew them well who gave all those names because we have so many names, don't we, in Cornwall, which are dedications to saints. And so they left their names as well. And sometimes it was their contemporaries who did that, but sometimes these people came themselves. And of course, the Celtic lands, so I'm thinking of Wales or Brittany or Northumberland or Iona. These are the places where the Irish monk came from to Cornwall in that time. So that's the first wave of pilgrimage. And the second wave is the one that we most associate with pilgrimage. So that's about the 11th or 12th century. And it's a medieval pilgrimage. And we imagine people going on pilgrimage for penance. They want to say sorry for something they've done. They have to pay indulgences in order to go on pilgrimage. They might be going on pilgrimage to release somebody from purgatory, or they're going on pilgrimage to go to a particular shrine to touch a relic of a saint in a shrine or on an altar. That might be what the prompting of the medieval time of pilgrimage. And today, I think we're living in the third wave of pilgrimage, which is all about a search for meaning, connecting with others and creation, and also finding healing through pilgrimage. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So, just a little bit about where it fits within our church life, ecclesiology, our church life. Um, the Second Vatican Council in Vatican II produced a document which was called Lumen Gentium, Light for the Nations. And this is what they said pilgrimage was all about. It replaced the institutional hierarchical ecclesiology with the dynamic, just move that, people of God notion in which the church is seen first of all as a pilgrim people on the way to a heavenly city. Uh, dynamic idea of a people of God on the way to a heavenly city. Or to put it another way, seeking after God is fundamentally a pilgrimage in the company of others. The accent is on movement, energy, and so it's a dynamic understanding of our faith. So, uh, so there's these types of church, aren't they? Frenetic church. Unfortunately, the response to a dying church is anxiety and overreaction that easily succumbs to the values of the host culture. The consumer fast lane management approach, results and outcomes driven strategic plans operating with a competitive market driven culture, is the environment in which we live and move and have our being. That's the state of the church at the moment. And what we're trying to do, I think, those of us who are exploring a more Celtic way of being church, or a more pilgrim way of being church, is to break away from all that competitive thing and to walk side by side of brothers and sisters in Christ. So a major task for the traveling church is to find the optimal pace for the journey by slow church coming. I wish to flag the importance of the church recovering a pace and rhythm for people on the way, Picard says. And we remember that Jesus traveled everywhere by foot. So he traveled at 3 miles an hour, if that's a normal walking pace. And the problem is that we conduct ourselves throughout our lives at such a frenetic, busy pace that we need to recover that sense of being brothers and sisters walking side by side. And this is a book by Andrew Walls called The Missionary Movement in Christian History. And he says that, along with the indigenizing principle, which makes his faith a place to feel at home, the Christian inherits the pilgrim principle, which whispers to him or her that he has no abiding city and warns him that to be faithful to Christ will put him out of step with his society. And I would say that often I feel out of step, not just with society, but out of church, out of step with quite a lot of the church, because I'm advocating a quite different approach to being a church together through pilgrimage and through pursuit of Celtic spirituality. So I suppose the key question that many people will want to ask about pilgrimage is, how's it different from going on a walk? It's not just getting to the end. One of the people who often walks with me says, "Are we there yet?" He's joking, the children's thing. Are we there yet? As soon as we set up, he says that. It's not just about getting to the end of the thing. What happens along the way is significant too. The people who walk beside us on the way, the people we encounter along the route, the companion creatures who accompany us, the landscape which we encounter, all those are significant. And also on pilgrimage, we're not doing it as a physical challenge or endurance test. Now, a lot of people, as you know, do these massive endurance test things. It's very popular to do, like Land's End to John O'Groats. Either, he goes on, this chap is going on his bus pass on it, or you go on your cycle route or something like that. But it's not about that, achieving something, getting there as fast as possible, whatever. It's not about that. So I think what pilgrimage is intentional walking and expecting God to meet with us along the way. So why do people go on pilgrimage today? Why in this third wave of pilgrimage is it so popular now? I think often we live in a world in which we're bombarded by so many demands coming at us from all angles, from radio, from television, from social media, from emails and everything else. And when you go on pilgrimage, you try and slough off all that and just become dependent on God and be open to the Spirit, to creation, and God's revelation to you as you walk along. And also, as you walk, you encounter people from different backgrounds. Sometimes you walk with people from different faiths or nationalities. You're all walking together. And I think as well, today, people are going on pilgrimage because they want a miraculous encounter with the divine, just like the medieval pilgrims went to touch those relics on an altar or of a saint. People still are looking for something miraculous. And when people walk with me, sometimes say it's healing, it's a healing experience. And I wonder to myself, well, Cornwall's beautiful. Of course, it's going to be healing walking around this beautiful landscape. Or it's wonderful to be with like-minded people walking along and chatting. But why is it healing? And I think it's because God is at work in this intentional walk with Him. And this is a nun who lives in New York called Cynthia Pemberton, and she writes this book called Soulfaring. And she says interior growth comes from an exterior journey. So it's not just putting one foot in front of another, but something's going on within our souls as well as we journeys. So there's something physical, a movement from A to B, but also something going on inside too. So some of the things to just share with you as I developed a Cornish Celtic Way pilgrimage route, some of the things that I learned was that Jesus obviously was the archetypal pilgrim. He traveled constantly from place to place, from village to village to village. You're free to respond to God, and because you're on pilgrimage and you've let things go. And I was inspired by the courage, purpose, and mission of the Cornish Celtic saints, and also encountering creation. I mean, that's what you're all about, your Creation Care network. Let the landscape be your text. Let that speak to you. And bring all the things, bring poems, bring scripts, bring prayers, bring songs to it, but let the landscape speak as well. And don't let the destination be your all. Oh, at last we got there. That's not the purpose of it. Travel, see what you can see and who you encounter on the way. So now the route is quite well established. The Cornish Celtic Way route, 125 miles in lots of different sections. And along that route, we've now got 25 places open, which accommodate pilgrims either to stay in churches or church hall. But how I created it, one of the other things I learned is that when you go on pilgrimage, you follow the energy. So when there's good energy, when you meet good people, you go with them. And if it's bad energy, you come to a dead end, or a farmer's put up a sign saying, beware of the bull under the Saints' Way sign, you think, let's go a different way, retrace your steps. And we've been recently on a pilgrimage where we've had a lot of good energy, lots of good possibilities. People have offered rooms, the use of their lodge or room in a church hall, or use of a church. It's because you're following what God is showing you, really, just saying yes to it, really. If you want to know more about pilgrimage, at the back of my book, A Cornish Celtic Way, I've written a little bit about walking as pilgrimage, which you might be interested in. You can come on pilgrimage with me in Cornwall. You just need to go to the website there, cornishcelticway.co.uk. You can get the book from there, and you can also see what we're doing. And we do Saturday walks every month. And our next walk is going to be towards the end of July, and we're going from Little Petherick Church to St Merrin Church. So that's it. So I'll stop sharing now. Yes, and I did it in time, hopefully, for you, Sharon. So is there time for any questions, Sharon? Or not?
Yes, of course there is. I was giving you the moose horns really just as a joke. You were perfectly on time. Does anyone have a question from Canon Marnes? Helen? Sorry.
And if you go on the Celtic Way, you will stay in Portreath Church.
Yes.
And it has a special facility. It has a shower.
It does indeed. It's wonderful, and so many people.
Which is much appreciated.
Appreciate that, Helen. Yes. Yeah.
But also, one of the members of our church welcomes everybody when they arrive, and I think it's a rather nice part of it, isn't it?
very much. And I think one of the things that we get, so a lot of feedback comes to us from people who've walked. And one of the things they mention most of all is the hospitality that they meet along the way, that they have along the way. It's really quite tremendous. The people who meet, either the people who let the halls or the church wardens who greet people, and they really are touched by these encounters with fellow Christians as they walk along. It's really helps them, I think. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Well, not me. It's not me. Someone else.
no, but Portreath Church. It's good.
Yeah,
it's very much. Thank you, yeah. Shelley knows lots.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that on Sunday, last Sunday, we had someone walking the Cornish Celtic Way, stay in our service, and stayed for our soup and sweet lunch. And she was from Kansas City, and you know, sort of really engaged within the service, and was delighted to you know, sort of be able to stop and talk to people who were living in the area. So yeah, that was great. And actually, we are working on being able to accept pilgrims overnight in our church. We've now got ecclesiastical to agree, and all I need to do now is do our sort of risk assessment, and then we're ready to go.
Fantastic, Shelley. And that's an interesting thing. I mean, I was really struck, Shelley knows this because I often talk about it, by this little church near Pole Ruin. And it didn't have many people in it, because I did it in 2016 when I first walked it. It was at AGM time, 10 people on the electoral roll. There's more now, but there was only 10. But they had a little table saying welcome. They had just some juice out and some water. Welcome everybody who comes. And I thought, this is amazing. And what I think we can rethink the church in terms of places of hospitality, where people come for a bit and then they go again. But they also appreciate that so many people give a lot of time and energy into keeping our shrines, our holy places open, so they can visit them, and they're really touched by that. And it's a bit like that painting, you know, in Truro Cathedral of the lights, you know, the lights of all the churches in Cornwall still on. And my friend wrote a poem which talks about the Celtic saints, but she says the rope still holds. The rope still holds, and that's a really important thing, I think, for Cornwall. That we are a place where people want to come on pilgrimage because it's a holy place, because holy people have walked this land many hundreds of years before us, and they get touched by the shrines, the places they visit, and so on. So I think hospitality is key to it. So what Helen's saying and Shelley's saying, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I must admit, I think I would say 7 out of 10 people who are visiting our church now are either on the Saints Way or on the Cornish Celtic Way, because we're on both. It's where it overlaps. Yeah, and the visitors book it mentions either the hospitality or the specialness of the place that they're visiting, and the fact that the church feels alive, which is actually joy to our ears. Because we're a very small community. We're only a small, we're a large parish, but a small village within that parish. And I think the encouragement goes both ways, both with the pilgrim and from the pilgrim to the parish.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Would you all like to join me in thanking Nigel for his talk, which was fascinating. Thank you so much, Nigel.
Well, enjoy your pilgrimage together in July. I hope it goes really well.
We'll report back.
Yeah, lovely.
Please stay or go as you need to, Nigel.
I will. Nice to see you, David. Sorry, didn't get your question in. All right.
I was just wondering, I'm not sure whether it's down to Sharon or Nigel, apart from saying thank you to Nigel, whether you wanted to tell us about Luke Collett's exhibition in Truro Cathedral that's coming up.
Yes. Can I do that, Sharon? Can
Yeah,
I?
of course. Yep.
Yeah. So what's happened is that Luke Hollett is a Belgian professor who walked the Cornish Celtic Way around COVID times. He did it twice, and he did some beautiful. He's a photographer. He's done 26 panels of beautiful pictures along the Celtic Way, and written also his reflections, some spiritual reflections on his walk, on his pilgrimage. And there's going to be also QR codes, and you can access interviews. I think David might be one of the people on the being interviewed in that, but other people are going to and there's drone footage, and it's going to be in French, German, and Dutch, I think, as well, so that people can access it. And it's going to be in Truro Cathedral from the 20th of July for 3 weeks. So that exhibition's going to be on, and also we're going to be asking, David's going to be having it at St Morgan, but if anybody would like to host that exhibition, you'll be very welcome to have it. We will have it. It's going to go to St Morgan Church, is going to St German's Church initially after the cathedral, but if you want it in your church, you'll be very welcome to have it. It won't cost you anything, because that we do it. What we do with the Cornish Celtic Way is all proceeds from the sale of my book go towards the whole project, so it all gets ploughed back into it. So we're sponsoring this exhibition, and it should be really, really good, and will really help to promote pilgrimage in Cornwall, I hope, as a result, in July and August this year. So yeah.
Great. Thank you.
That's all right. God bless everybody in all you do.
Thank you. Cheerio, Nigel.
All right, bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. You'll see that Fiona has joined us. Can you hear and see us, Fiona? We can see you now. Thank you so much for joining us. Can I introduce you to our group? Fiona Buchanan is from Transform Trade and is with us tonight to discuss their campaign, No More Profits from Harm. Yeah. So we've got 15 minutes for presentation, Fiona, and then 5 minutes for questions.
Perfect, thank you.
And if we're running out of time, I will make moose horns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Really lovely to meet you all, and thank you very much for inviting Transform Trade to come and speak to you tonight and talk a bit about our latest campaign, No More Profit from Harm, and hopefully how you can get involved in this. Just to give a bit of background and introduce myself, my name is Fiona Buchanan. I've been working with Transform Trade for just over a year as the campaigns lead. And before that, I've got a bit of a background in church and faith-based NGOs. So I worked at the Church and Society Council for the Church of Scotland for a number of years. So engaging with congregations across Scotland on a variety of social justice issues, with climate change being a very key part of that. So working very closely with Eco Congregation Scotland. I then moved to Christian Aid, where I was there for around 8 years. So that was working on campaigns and advocacy. So again, with climate being one of our main campaigns in the time that I was there. And also being able to lead on their Christian Aid's engagement at COP26 in Glasgow, which was an intense but very good few years. I then had a bit of time out of the faith-based sector, so working with organisations like WWF, Scotland's Climate Coalition, and then joined Transform Trade just over a year ago. So it's been lovely to be back in more of a church context within this role, which I'm really enjoying. And outside of work, I'm an elder in my church, Church of Scotland, and I'm also the organist and director of music. So that keeps me busy when I'm not working. And as you can tell, I'm Scottish, so I'm currently based at Loch Tay, the beautiful banks of Loch Tay in Perthshire in Scotland. So I enjoy getting out into the Scottish mountains and enjoying the scenery and what nature has to offer around here as much as I can. So on to our work and our campaign. We're here because we share a simple belief, I'm sure, that companies and businesses should not be able to profit from human rights abuses or from environmental harm. And this is an area that Transform Trade has been working on for many years. But over the next few months, we have a unique opportunity to build something ambitious and to be part of a nationwide movement calling for stronger laws in the UK that can protect people around the world and the planet. And today I'll share just a bit about the campaign, how you can get involved, and creative action that will bring together voices from across the UK all the way to Parliament later this year. So why are we campaigning on this? Well, many of the products that we use every day, whether it's food, clothing, electronics, and many more, they travel through very complex supply chains. And while there are many businesses who are working responsibly, we know that too often people and the environment still pay the price when companies fail to prevent harm. And for those of us who are motivated by our faith, it's also about stewardship. So we're called to care for creation and to love our global neighbours. And when communities around the world are harmed by things like deforestation, pollution, or exploitation in supply chains, creation suffers, but people suffer as well. And for many years, campaigners and organisations like us have called for stronger rules that will require businesses to firstly identify risks, to prevent abuses, and then to also be held accountable when harm does occur. And that's why we are calling for a Business, Human Rights and Environment Act. So that's our main call to action, our main ask of the government is a Business, Environment and Human Rights Act. So within Transform Trade's goal, we have a bold vision. We want to see at least one community organisation, church, faith group in every constituency across the UK publicly backing this act. Ultimately, we want to be able to send a really powerful message to MPs, to our decision makers, that people across the country really care about ensuring that there is no more profit from harm. And we believe that churches have a really important role to play in this movement. Congregations are rooted in every constituency in the UK and have a very long history of speaking up for justice. So we hope that this campaign can offer a practical way for churches to turn concern for creation and our global neighbours into a collective action. So that's why we've created a journey as part of this campaign that starts with very simple action and then offers some opportunities to get more involved if you wish to do so. So every action helping to build momentum throughout the year. And it's not just a Transform Trade priority. We're members of something called the Corporate Justice Coalition. So we're working very closely with them to bring together campaigners from across a really powerful alliance of organisations. So these include groups such as Friends of the Earth, Global Justice Now, CAFOD, Fair Trade Foundation, ActionAid, and many, many others are working as part of this coalition to really push for this law and the changes that we want to see. So we want to support groups to engage in this work over the autumn, and then to join us either in person or virtually or in other ways at a lobby of Parliament on the 21st of October, which is called the Good Business Matters Lobby. So the very first step is simple. We're asking groups or individuals to declare their support. So to sign a very simple declaration supporting our No More Profit from Harm campaign. And as groups or individuals join, our map will show support growing across the country, with every supporter name or group being added showing or building kind of momentum for change and demonstrating the commitment to this. And yeah, I'm aware that many of you are, I'm sure, already playing a key role in helping churches care for creation, to cut carbon footprints and many other types of action. So this is very much part of an opportunity to strengthen the third part of your network's vision, which is around speaking up. So by signing the declaration, your church or your group can publicly support stronger laws that will help to protect people and the planet. And we have 200 signed up already, so you'll be joining in with other groups all around the country. So alongside political action, we're also inviting supporters and groups to take part in a more of a creative national action in the autumn. This is called the labels that we want to see. So when we think about the labels that we see on every day on food, on clothing, for example, they tell us how something was made, maybe how to wash it or what's inside it. But they rarely tell us whether workers were treated fairly, communities were respected, or if the environment was protected. So with this action, we're asking people to imagine the labels that they wish existed. So by joining in this campaign action, every group that wants to take part will receive a campaign pack with produce-shaped templates and labels like this, which are connected to the global supply chains that we work on. So we'll encourage people to write their own messages, their hopes, their demands for the future, what they want to see changing. And it can be very simple messages that are incredibly powerful. So it's an action that's accessible for all ages, works well in schools, community groups, and at events, and would work particularly well in church settings. So whether that's having the activity with the labels at service or a Care for Creation event with a youth group and eco groups. It's a very simple and creative way to start conversations about how our faith connects with the products we buy, but also the impact that these can have on people around the world and the planet as well. And these are just some of the messages that we imagine might be shared. So every label telling a different story. And one message might seem small, but together hundreds and hopefully eventually thousands of these messages and labels will create a really powerful picture of what people want to see from business, and a future where profit does not come at the expense of people or the planet. So over the autumn, as the messages are returned, we're going to be building a growing installation and sharing stories from around the country at a number of regional events. And then by October, we hope that these messages can be brought to Parliament to show the MPs that people across the UK want products that are free from exploitation and businesses that are held accountable when harms do occur. And we would love it if churches from every part of the country were able to share their messages and their prayers for a much a fairer economy and a way of working. And hopefully together, these voices can be a really powerful witness to the kind of world that we believe God calls us to build. And there'll be lots of support throughout all of this. You don't need to be an experienced campaigner or have been involved in many actions like this to take part in this initiative. Over the autumn, we're going to be running a series of online events and producing briefings and workshops. And we're going to be doing this to really help people build confidence, deepen their understanding of the issues, and prepare for taking action locally and nationally. And we'll share the latest developments in the campaign, what's happening politically, exploring why stronger corporate accountability matters, provide practical advice on engaging with MPs, and hearing from other supporters, learning from one another's experience. So whether it's your first campaign or you've been campaigning for many years, we really want everyone to feel equipped and supported to take part. Then by the time we come to the lobby in Westminster, again, whether you can be there in person or online, you'll be part of a network of campaigners from across the UK who've been learning, building momentum and organising together over a number of months. And we hope that the lobby won't be a one-off event. It will be the culmination of months of action by communities, all united with the same desire to protect people and the planet. So when it comes to October, we'll bring the campaign to decision makers, to Westminster, and supporters attending the lobby will gather with those from the other organisations who are taking part. But as Transform Trade, we want to bring our messages together, our labels, and create an installation bringing these messages from around the UK, inviting MPs to read these, to meet with their constituents and hear their concerns, and demonstrating that support for this is not coming from just from one organisation or one part of the country. It's coming from communities up and down the country. So just to finish with how you can take part. So the campaign really depends on people like you, on our supporters. So whether you're representing a local group, a church, or simply just care about justice around this issue, there's a place for everyone in this. So we're very aware that many of you are already taking practical action to care for creation, to cut carbon emissions, and this campaign is very much an invitation to speak up as well by adding your church's voice, helping to create labels and messages, or engaging with your MP. Whether you do one of these or all of these, you can really help us to ensure that care for creation is reflected not only in our personal choices, but also in the laws and the systems that shape our world as well. So working together with our supporters, with other organisations, we can all help shape laws where people and planet are valued, where businesses are held accountable for harm when they cause it, and where our concern for creation is really matched by action for justice as well. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Fiona. If you could unshare, that would be great. Thanks. Does anyone have any questions for Fiona? Helen, over to you.
I suppose I'm thinking that, are you thinking about international trade more than British business?
It's how we're influencing the UK government. So and obviously that is with international trade with other countries. But at the moment there isn't a law within the UK that regulates any of this. So it's why so many human rights abuses within supply chains happen with different countries. So we're focusing our attention on the UK government and asking them to introduce this. And the reason why there's a bit of momentum at the moment.
How can it's more tricky for a government to make laws which apply to other countries, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, I don't really know about these things, but I'm just thinking in my mind.
Yeah, so it's to do with how the UK trades with other countries, so that they're committing to not being part of supply chains where there are these types of abuses happening. And yeah, the reason why this is a particularly significant year is that there's been some indication that they are willing to do this. So we feel that as much public pressure as possible will really help to kind of enact this law that's been on the table for so long, but just never got there. There's already been an early days motion put forward by an MP, so it's gathering signatories. So I think this, combined with kind of politically how momentum is building, makes the coalition think that this is a really good time to bring in public voices and kind of public pressure to support in the request for this law.
So at the moment, you can look for the B Corp thing and things you buy, can't you?
Yeah.
If you want, and that's high standard, isn't
it? Yeah, but there's no requirement for companies to do this. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
Any other questions? I can't see any other questions, so thank you so much.
Can I just quickly ask?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, Fiona, I was going to ask you, when I saw your examples, like you show the fair trade fruit, which is, obvious sign of a good way to buy, but like if you're explaining this to like your congregation, in your pack, would you have like other examples where there's human rights abuse so that you could explain to people like clothing and stuff like that?
Yes, definitely. So we have colleagues that work across different sectors like garments, agriculture, business and human rights. So we're working with them to develop some case studies that explain in a bit more detail where these types of abuses happen, and that will be part of the pack that we share with congregations. So they'll hear some kind of more tangible examples of where that happens and get more of a sense of that as well.
So for people to find out about that, is it best for them like sign up to your campaign or as an individual? Is that the best way of doing it?
Yeah, either. Yeah, you can sign up as an individual or you can sign up on behalf of a group, or both. But either way, you'll receive the updates about the campaign, and I can share those links either in the chat or send them to you by email afterwards.
Is it better to do it as a group? Has that got more power, or doesn't it matter?
It'd be great if you could do it as a group, because we'd really want to support groups to take part.
More people.
We'll be able to send you more kind of targeted information about groups, so that would be ideal. Even if it's just a few people that are concerned, it doesn't need to be an official group. It can be a church, it can be an eco group, it can be anything at all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Would everyone join me in thanking Fiona for bringing that information to us? I hope it goes really well.
Thank you.